Good morning.
Goeiemôre.
And to my Kryptonian friends, away manne, who's it? Guys and girls, good morning. Yeah, just a few things that has happened in the past, I would say, week that got our attention. And that's why our topic this morning will be you will be challenged. Immigration is difficult. I know there's a lot of people who say, it's easy, just come and what. That's not like that at all. So immigration is difficult. It's going to be more difficult. It's even going to be worse than what you ever thought about. If you ever wanted to be challenged, do immigration. Do immigration. And I'm talking about challenge in every aspect.
Yeah.
From your
Initial decision
from
to
your initial
to
decision
immigrate.
all the way through, I would say even after citizenship.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you will be challenged in so many different ways. Your relationship will be challenged with your wife, with your partner, with your kids, with your parents staying back at home. Everything will be challenged everywhere. And there's no way to get away from this,
Mm.
unfortunately. Um, as I say, that's the one you got to take for the team. And some people is not good team players,
Yeah.
and they with each other, and then they come to New Zealand and they are angry, and other
Yeah.
people are good team players, and they face these challenges together. They bump their heads together because there is a lot of head bumping and a lot of challenges and a lot of I want to say is tears the right word to use?
Yeah. A lot of frustrations and
And a lot of I sometimes feel as if you run out of you run out you run out of the world to go on.
oh,
No, that
you
sometimes
get
you just get
disheartened.
to this point. You think,
Yeah.
what have I done? Should I ever have done this? Is it probably I should just stop everything now and turn around and go back?
Mm.
And the problem is, yeah, some people do that. And the problem is, once you turn around, you are going to be challenged again. There's a lot of new challenges now.
Yeah, and I think it's even more difficult challenges
Yeah.
to try and start over
Now you
again
got to explain as
back.
well to people why
Mm.
and what and so forth.
It's not just that, it's just where do you start again? You end up
Yes.
going back and you've got nothing to go back
You go
to.
back to the same that you left.
So your struggles will actually be just
Mm.
exactly the same as it would have been when you stayed. Um, so yeah, the challenge starts from the moment that you decide to immigrate.
Yeah.
It's I always say talking about it is very exciting and it
Mm.
sounds colorful and whatever. And when the decision is made and you in the race, then it's totally a different ball game. When reality strikes,
Yep.
it's a little bit different. So I think all the emotional hurdles and everything will
Mm.
start. Um, it is a challenge to even just resign from your work. You have to tell all your friends that you're going, and you will get a lot of people that's maybe not so happy about it. Um, then you have to tell your parents. That's really hard.
And the siblings, the
Yeah.
your
And
kids.
then some of them won't be happy.
Yep.
And then you have to try and sell your
Mm.
house or whatever you have there. A lot of people these days come over with nothing. They sell everything there, and I totally get why they do it.
I pretty understand that.
But to
Mm.
try and sell your stuff, we tried in the end, 2 days before we had to be out of the house, we just called everyone we knew and said, just come and take whatever you want because you really don't you it's
Yeah.
difficult to sell your stuff. It's really
And
difficult.
we at that stage we helped younger people finish their whole house.
So yeah, to just try and get rid of everything. And for me, a very big challenge was figuring out sorting stuff, what's going, what's
Mm.
staying, because all of a sudden you're very sentimental.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
am a sentimental person in
But
any
she even
way.
got way more
It
sentimental.
was hectic. It was a real challenge for me to sit down. I sat down. I had a box of letters, from old army letters from my brother, and school letters from my friends and from my grandma, and I don't know, pen pals that I had when I was like
That you've never
12
heard
years
again
old.
of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was reading through all of that. I think it's a good thing because emotionally you
Yeah.
kind of get rid of a lot of stuff. Um, but yeah, just trying to figure out and talking about it. It's actually, when you talk about, oh yeah, I'll just sort out, it's easy to say,
Is it
but
to
when
say
you
that? Yeah.
start, it's really hard. And yeah, so that's the one challenge. And then the packing starts, and that's
Mm.
even worse, trying to find someone that will actually look after your stuff.
Oh yeah. The one thing that I never, what can I say? I never realized while in South Africa, many nights we would have a tub of a Coke beverage with my friends around the fire. And let's talk about 2 years about before immigration, and everybody would say, "Oh, I'll immigrate tomorrow. I can go to America. I can go to Australia." And what? We were the only people that left at the end of the day. I think those guys are still standing around the fire and saying, "I can immigrate."
Yeah.
But at that stage, I know what I knew today. At that stage, I wonder if I would have come. I'm not saying I wouldn't have come. Don't get me wrong.
If you knew that
If
it
I
was that
knew
hard.
all the hardships, all the
Mm.
shit we had to go through, if I really knew, if I really understood, and it's probably a good thing we didn't,
Mm.
because we as people are risk adverse. We'd rather, oh, there's a fire. I'd rather go risk way
Mm.
around than go and fight the fire.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I we had this conversation many times.
Mm.
Would we have done it if we knew then what we know now? I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, I'm also very, very, don't get me wrong, I'm
Yeah.
very, very,
This
very
is
glad
one
we
of
did
those things that unfortunately the only way to get through it is to
to do
go
it.
through it.
Yeah.
There's no other way. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
There's stuff that you have to do. I always say make a tick list because that's the easiest
Mm.
way. Otherwise, you get so overwhelmed with all the stuff that you have to do. Make a tick list and just tick them off as you go.
Yeah.
Give you a little bit of.
And you got to do it one by one,
Yeah.
one by one. You got to do it.
Mm,
There's no, you can't skip a step in this whole
no,
process.
yeah. Then otherwise, you're just going to make
Yeah.
it even harder for yourself.
I know some people has got it easier. Some people had came and it was easy for them to arrive,
Yeah.
but it's not always that easy.
I mean, another challenge is just the waiting game, waiting from the moment that you started the process.
Yeah.
With
These days,
immigration.
it looks like there's a lot more stuff to be waiting for. Because the
Yes.
owner or the boss has got to be
Accredited.
Then you got to wait for a token.
Mm.
Then they got to do a job check. You got to wait. Jeez, it's a waiting
A
game
lot
these
of
days.
stuff. And I mean, when you apply for a work visa, it can take however long it takes.
Oh yeah.
So the waiting game is a real challenge for us. A big challenge was that we knew that we wanted to go and we've applied, and at some stage it looked like okay, everything's going to work out, and then at some stage it looks like maybe it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
So you in that limbo mode where you have to make plans for if it doesn't work out. So we've sold our house, resigned, whatever else. So but now we were thinking maybe it's not going to happen. So we started looking at places where we would want to live.
But now we were without our house.
Yeah, so that was another big challenge for us.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So I say good morning to everybody. I said good morning, Brian, Vanita, everybody else said good morning all over the channels. Vanita just saying the biggest issue is to get official documents from Home Affairs.
Yeah. That
seems like that's a bit of a hiccup, and I wonder why. Is it because they're that good or that bad? So yeah.
So maybe it's a good idea, even if you don't want to immigrate, just get all your stuff in order. So when you want to go the one day, everything is sorted. You've got your unabridged birth certificates and your marriage certificates and whatever else, so that you are just ready to go. So that was a big challenge for us, just the waiting game. It's hard. It's emotionally, it's really hard. It takes its toll. It's really draining.
It's draining.
Yeah.
There's so many other stuff that has to fall in place for you to be able to immigrate. And I don't even want to go to the fact that you need enough money to do that. You need to have this, you need to have that. For me, it's just that all the challenges along the way.
Mm. And it's the uncertainties in your
Mm,
mind. You think you've got enough money. Let me tell you, you're not going to have enough money.
times that by two,
Um,
whatever you think.
so that's going to be a different kind of challenge for you. But
Mm,
um, you, in your mind, you always thinking, am I doing the right thing? Are we
mm,
going to be able to settle there?
yeah.
Um, in our heads, once we decided to immigrate, there was no turning back. From the day that I said, okay, let's go, which was a very hard decision for
Mm,
me to make, I said to him, I'm not coming back. So whatever you do, it will have to be lasting, and
all
it's
the
going to be forever.
ultimatums, all the
Yeah.
ultimatums.
I was just not prepared to
Yeah.
go through all of that for
And
nothing.
thinking back today about it, it probably was one of the biggest things that you ever put me through to have that ultimatum of having residence before we leave, because that was what you wanted. But I probably think it was one of the best things that
Mm,
otherwise, who knows what other
mm,
challenges we would have faced.
mm.
So,
Yeah.
and we faced a lot. I promise you, we faced a lot. So,
Yeah, it was not an easy ride as for
no.
many other people as well.
So I do have empathy with anybody struggling, with anybody emotionally, mentally struggling, struggling to get sometimes just a concept.
Mm,
People sometimes just struggle to get the concept that it's going to be daylight in New Zealand while it's nighttime in South Africa,
mm.
for instance.
There's a lot of challenges
Yeah.
that you have to work through, and it's not only mentally and physically.
Mm,
There's a lot of other stuff, like he says, the
yeah.
time difference, the how far New Zealand is from South Africa and the rest of the world. So that was also in my head. It just didn't make sense for me to be. It felt to me like we're just going to be there at the end of the world. Everybody's going to forget about us.
I actually think we're at the beginning of the world.
Well, whatever. Yes, sun comes up here first. But
So,
yeah. And then the other thing is when you get to New Zealand, when you get off that plane, yes, it's very exciting, but then it starts.
mm,
Have you got a car? Do you know where you're going to live? Is that in place? So that's all the stuff that has to be on your tick
mm,
list before you leave. Make sure that you've got place, a soft landing where you can go to when you land in Auckland.
yeah. And if you don't have a soft landing, make it soft for yourself.
Yes.
Make it soft for yourself.
I always just say, I know you're going to be really tired
Mm,
when you get off that plane because emotionally, that last week, it drains you. Jan slept from the moment that we got on the plane until we landed in
mm,
Auckland. You are so drained and so tired.
yeah.
It's really hard. So
Yeah.
when you get here, you're going to be tired. You're probably going to be very frustrated. So just make sure that everything is planned for you,
Mm.
at least for that first 3 days after you landed, just to get over the most of your jet lag and just to get your head around what's just happened.
Good morning to Mil as well from Auckland. Mil is running Paki Posarki. They help a lot with the official documents so far.
Yes, they do. So if
Um,
you're struggling to get your stuff from South Africa,
and that's the
they're
thing that
people.
Niku says. You got to be paperwork ready even before applying for a job in New Zealand. It just makes
Yeah,
way more sense.
yeah.
Passports, police clearances,
The
birth
thing with the
certificates. Yeah,
police clearances, it's only valid for what, 3 months, 6 months? I
I don't
can't
know, but
remember.
it's not a long period, and you
Yeah,
need another one once you are
when
here, even if you've been
when you
here for
apply for
yeah,
residence, you
even if you
need it
haven't
again.
left the country. So
So it doesn't end when you arrive here.
mm,
Yeah, you're here, and the journey starts, but the
yeah,
challenges
you
doesn't
want to read
stop.
what Brian said there?
Immigration is a hard experience, and yes, not something everybody survives. True, unfortunately. Some people sadly call it a day and go back for various reasons. For some, it simply does not work, and that is also
Mm.
okay.
But on the other side, I I knew I had to get out of South Africa.
Mm,
Um, I knew I had to start all over, and I had my own business in South Africa, and I wasn't doing badly. I knew for me to get old, I had to go somewhere else. South Africa wasn't the place where I could get old, and that was point one, a challenge for me, even before I started the immigration process.
mm,
And
yeah,
I knew that somewhere along the line, we had to make a massive move, and it was a mindset. It was such a big move that it sometimes I think back and think, geez, I don't even know how we survived that.
Yeah, well, it is just something that you go through the
Yeah.
motions, and yeah. But I think for you, and it's probably for, there are some people that it's the wife that makes the decision that they have to move, but in most instances, it is the men that feel the urge to
Yeah.
move, and I get it because you are the one that's looking after your family in South Africa, and it's really hard with the circumstances. Um,
Sorry to chip in here,
yeah,
but I find a lot of women are the instigators,
I see that a
and a
lot.
reason why. Okay, the husband is working, is really doing his best just to keep food on the table and the lights on, and so forth and so forth. And I think the women are more the nurturing type
Mm-hmm.
who sees, wait, we're going to have a problem, and I've got to take the kids every day to school under these circumstances. I'm just taking an example now, and I can at any stage be hijacked, killed, robbed, raped, and I'm not willing to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of ladies come, and they start planting the seeds at the husband, and eventually hubby decides, yes, it's time to go now.
Yeah. But I
So,
mean, in your head, long before we even started the process to immigrate to New Zealand, you wanted to get out of South Africa
oh yeah,
for a very,
yeah.
very long
I
time.
actually got the first time that I decided to leave South Africa, and that was in 2013.
Mm.
That was at that stage I realized something is wrong in the world, and I realized that the problem is South Africa.
I think it was just after we had our first overseas trip.
Yeah, we went to Israel in the midst of a war, and it was so calm there. It was even calmer than in South Africa. So
we were walking there feeling so safe, and we were just thinking, this is a country at war. And in South Africa, we don't feel this.
And we don't have a war in South Africa, but I couldn't walk through the streets.
So I think when we came back from there, you said it's like it opened your eyes about what's actually going on in the world, in your own country.
Yeah.
And do you really want to live like that? Yeah.
And the problem was getting older. You get weaker as you grow older. And that was my biggest fear. My biggest fear was to sit somewhere in an old age home and I can't use my firearm. That was my biggest fear.
We were just thinking of getting old in South Africa, being locked behind bars, not being able to walk in the street, get on a bus, go to the shops, enjoy life just as a normal person.
And living from 1,000 rand that the government supplies.
That was our main, or for me, that was my main reason for leaving South Africa, just to be able to enjoy my life free and safe until I one day lay my head down.
And unfortunately, I know there's probably older people going to listen to this video as well. People who didn't have the time to move out of South Africa. And I've got empathy for you guys, really.
Not being able to.
I feel.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
More Kotze just saying it helps if you know somebody here, a backup plan or a contingency of some sort. After 23 years in New Zealand, it's the best decision ever. Hard as it was, there's no future for children to grow up in South Africa. Yeah, sadly enough.
Oh, yeah. But then there's also the reality that not everyone can leave and not everyone wants to leave for various reasons. And I am just so glad that and trust me, it was, I think Jan almost had to pull me on by the hair out of South Africa. It was really hard for me to leave. But I am so glad that we did it. I'm so glad.
We had our ups and downs, and let's call it challenges then.
Yeah. But then now you have to remember when you get here, you start your job. The first challenge is going to be getting your kids into a school that they actually enjoy. Will they adapt? Will they have friends? All of that's going through your head.
And all of these fall into place.
They do. You just have to be a little bit resilient.
Yeah, and have a bit of patience as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to this closed door, and there's a reason why the door is closed, because you have to use your hand to open the door. And sometimes people just say, oh, this door won't open for me, because they're not willing to reach out and open that door. And I know this may sound like pie in the sky, but you have to just fuss bite a bit and just go through that. and suddenly you don't understand even why you were worried about
Mm.
the specific problem that you had. So
Yeah. And then also what can happen is maybe the job that you got is
mm,
not working out, is not what you expected it to be. Um, and then you have to decide, are you gonna just pull through? Uh, I think, and I hear that so many times,
yeah,
people that's so unhappy in the job that they've got. And you're kind of stuck because that's the accredited employer.
mm.
So you're kind of stuck and you have to get through it.
I can tell you what I did.
Yeah.
All right, I hated school. I'm gonna not gonna. I hated school. It's the most horrific experience ever in my life. I don't want to ever
Ooh,
do it again. School wasn't lekker.
okay.
No, it wasn't
Mm,
lekker. But I knew something. I knew my father wouldn't let me leave school if I don't have matric.
mm,
He told me so. Kan jou moer.
mm.
So I decided I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to finish school. That's why every year I passed. I barely passed. I think some of the subjects was 39 was a pass. I got that.
Mm.
I got that. These days, nobody even asked me if I was at school.
No.
But I had to go through that to get out of there.
Yeah.
And sometimes in life, you just have to go through certain shit. And I'm sorry for the word. You have to go through certain shit just to get to the other side.
That's true.
That's one of those things. It's one of those things. Yeah. And it's easy to, in the middle of all this, to turn around and go back. That's not the reason why you came in the beginning.
So the hard part is when you get here and you're starting your job. I mean, we were in the same situation. It wasn't what you expected it to be.
I
And
didn't know anybody. And
you've got no one to talk to.
yeah.
I mean, you've got each other. We can talk to each other. But and I think that is very important, that whoever's on the other side has to be a little bit how can I call it?
Resilient.
Yeah, just give that little bit of motivation, even if
Yeah.
you're feeling, what are we doing? Are we
Yeah.
going to make it? Just give that motivation. For us, it worked like when I was down, he was up, and when I was up, he was down. And
I
yeah,
just kept up.
I don't know, but we made it. We made it through. So it's very important to just be on the same page.
I always thought if I would go back, then I'd go back to that fire where those guys said they are going to immigrate, and yet I arrive back and they will all laugh at me.
Yeah.
I said, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just if you struggle, talk to your wife, talk to your husband. Don't try to go through it.
And don't fight about it. Don't fight about the fact. Don't fight about it.
No, because it can become one of those things that I told you so. Don't do that.
But that's a female thing, eh? I told you so.
Oh really?
Yeah. So Brian saying your first job will probably suck. You start at the bottom and nobody cares about you. After you get PR, and about 5 years things get a lot better.
You just have to.
I don't know if everyone has to wait for 5 years, but
stick it out.
Benita just saying that's a trend for settlement in any country. It takes 3 to 5 years. And I do understand where that comes from.
Yeah.
Because this is a whole new experience.
Yes.
For me, I embrace the experience. A lot of people can't embrace the experience. Okay. I spoke to people last week. They lived in Taupo. Okay. I should probably not say Taupo. But they haven't been out of Taupo in the past 2 years. Now, I was thinking about that and thinking, what are you embracing?
Nothing to enjoy.
Nothing to enjoy. Taupo's only this big. I mean, after 3 hours in Taupo, you have to get out to see something new.
There are so many places around Taupo that's really close. But it's the same with every other place.
And you know, you could be like that in any other place.
Yeah.
In New Zealand. So.
And I think
it's up to you.
A very big challenge is when things don't work out the way that they should. Getting through that. Say, for instance, you got a job and now they tell you, sorry, you have to leave, don't have a job anymore. getting through that
Mm.
emotionally is really hard. And if you're like me, and I know many people are like that, you're not going to tell anybody. You're not going to
Yeah.
talk about it. You talk to your husband or your wife.
That's what happened. I spoke to somebody last night. They were made redundant after 6 months at their job. Luckily, they weren't the sole breadwinner or the breadwinner that brought them into the country.
Mm.
But for 2 weeks, they moped. For 2 weeks, they moped. Sadly enough, I think they spoke to each other, but that's where it stayed. They didn't talk to anybody out.
Mm.
Even I didn't know about that.
Mm.
And then this person received another job offer, but on a very weird way, and it's going to be way better off now than what they were in the past.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things. Came to the door, had to go through the door.
Yeah.
It didn't work any other way. There's no way around the door. You have to go through the door. And sometimes you need to have somebody to cry on, or have a shoulder to cry on. The big problem is if you cry on somebody's shoulder who's sitting in South Africa who doesn't have the faintest idea what you're going through,
Mm.
they're just going to say, "But we told you so. Don't go. We
Yeah.
told you it's a bad place."
But it is hard to, I mean, getting through those that 2 weeks. And I mean, even if they didn't receive a new job offer, they probably would have been in that situation for a lot longer. And it's hard because then you're starting to think, what have I done? How are we ever going to make it?
Yeah. I spoke to somebody else. This is about a year ago. This person was doing a job, or for the first 2 years, did a job that she didn't tell her family back in South Africa what she was doing.
Mm.
Okay, this is very interesting.
Was she cleaning houses?
No, she was doing it, packing racks and
Yeah.
those type of things. Yeah. So she was restocking supermarkets, and the people at home would have looked down on her because that was what she was doing. But she was putting food on the table. She had she had this bigger idea of,
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here. This is one of the ways I'm going to do it. And she was putting food on the table by working these horrible
Crazy
hours. And she stuck through, and they're such a lovely family these days. I can just see where they came from and where they are going, and I think they've got a massive future for themselves. So,
and the thing is, in the end, if you look back after a few years and you think, this is where I started.
Oh yeah.
Look where I am today.
Yes.
It is but sometimes you just need someone to tell you that. Listen, we've been through this. We know what you're going through. Stick it out. You'll look back one day and see the growth that you made since you arrived.
I think probably one day, I know we did it a few years ago. We should probably just redo another video of what we went through. A lot of people see us today and don't think we've gone through anything basically just to get here. So
we all go through the same thing.
We've gone through a lot of extra stuff. So,
and you know what? Then I always think all the other people coming from all the other countries. Okay, some don't go through it. Some get it really easy. Some
people find it easy, but it's good on them.
But they have to go through the same motions as we did. And in some countries, it's even harder. And for some reason, immigrating is getting harder. It's not as easy as it used to be. I mean, it wasn't easy when we came, but it was a little bit easier than it is now.
The joke is, if we came 2 weeks later, we wouldn't have been here.
No.
That's Brian saying, and I want to end this. Have a mindset of whatever it takes. You have a good chance to make it, even if you have to go live in Invercargill for 3 years. Presumably, the guys come in Invercargill and I've been there. They do braai there. You just need to bring your own umbrella.
The people that land in Invercargill buy houses in Invercargill. They love it there.
But it's good at them.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
To all the lovely people in New Zealand and even in Invercargill, guys and girls. Next time, same place. See you all. Stay well and enjoy this weekend. It's going to be a stunner because the summer is nearly over.
Yeah.
All right. See you all.
Bye.